Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'm bringing you a little bit of a rundown on the current takeover news surrounding 777, where we're up to with various consortiums taking over Everton and everything that's sort of happened in the last 24 hours regarding all the news surrounding the takeover and everything that's going to happen going forward. It was a busy 24 hours yesterday in terms of all the names coming forward that were potentially taking over Everton, and especially in the wake of the 777 news last week. So I'm just going to try and dive straight into it head first, just try and make sense of it all for myself and try and compile it into a short video for yourselves just to try and make sense of it all and give you some information surrounding the takeover. But we might as well start with the AJ Bell and Downing consortium, which came forward yesterday. Yep, as I said before, it really came out of the blue, didn't it? They've been sort of touted around recently in recent months as potential owners and potential investors in Everton. But it definitely came to the frame yesterday that they were heading a consortium that was backed by Michael Dell, who was the founder of Dell Technologies, reported 120 billion net worth. It must be said that, a lot of the headlines in the last 24 hours have sort of painted Everton as this, picture that are getting taken over by Dell as this big company getting taken over. I think that they are a little bit wide of the mark. He's supporting the takeover, headed by AJ Bell and George Downing. Um, as I said before, that they are heading that consortium. But it's definitely something to get excited from. A big company backing a to lifelong Evertonians is definitely something to get excited about, in my opinion. They seem to be the furthest ahead in the running after already establishing a decent relationship with Farhad Moshiri. So I think they are, for me, they do seem to be the closest in the running to taking over Everton. As I said before as well, that they are heading this consortium, but they have also set up Toffee Ventures Limited on Companies House, which again makes me think they are the closest to taking over Everton because, as I said before, they've got that relationship with Moshiri. They've set up a limited company on Companies House, and they're backed by a family office, as well as Michael Dell. Uh, so that for me, I think shows that they are a very strong candidate, and I think they are showing to Farhad Moshiri that they do have the what it takes to take over Everton and to get this deal done. But that being said, there is different names in the frame still. MSP Sports Capital, again, they seem to be an easy link, and they seem to be a credible link. Paul Joyce yesterday said that they were still in the frame for taking over Everton alongside 777. They have been in the frame for the longest. I think you look back to last September, I think they even had an exclusivity deal with Farhad Moshiri to take over the club. So, that seems like a credible source and a credible link to make there to say that the MSP Sports Capital are still in the frame. And I think, again, that they seem to be one that doesn't go away. They've got stakes in McLaren F1 team as well. They've got, stakes in a lot of different sports teams. So I think that is definitely another credible one. I think, if they were to take over and complete the process with Farhad Moshiri, I think that will be a positive. Obviously, we've seen 777 be in this situation. They've had this exclusivity deal for so long, and they were trying to go through the fit and proper test with the Premier League, and that didn't pay off. I don't think MSP Sports Capital will be a similar situation. I think obviously because they've got stakes in McLaren F1 team, I think they would be a more credible option than 777. Again, yesterday it came out in the news that Bloomberg were reporting that Advantage Capital had made an investment proposal in Everton. However, this just included a refinancing of the debt structure and refinance of the debt that Everton currently have to 777. And that would see them take a non-controlling equity in the club, which again, I don't think is the worst thing. I don't think it's our ideal situation, because we want a full takeover. We want a sort of a body, an organization, or a consortium to come in, have a key figurehead and have a control in the club. I think that would be probably the most positive outcome. But again, we know what our debt situation is. We know that we are struggling for debt, and we know that we are in a little bit of a dire situation in terms of how we are structuring this debt and how we're going to finance the debt towards 777. That they're we've paid so much money towards 777 in terms of them keeping the lights on, just the basic day-to-day running of the club. It does remain to be seen how that is going to be solved. But that being said, this Advantage Capital investment proposal does, it provides a way around that. It provides a decent solution to that. So again, they're another a name in the hat, and they're another name in the potential takeover of Everton. Again, this morning, Dan Friedkin, who's an actor, he has various hotels. He has various businesses, and he's the current owner and director of AS Roma in Serie A. He's expressed his interest in taking over Everton, according to Sky Sports. He has an estimated net worth of £6 billion. And I think, again, there's another one that could potentially, work in our favour. It's a complete takeover from Farhad Moshiri. And again, Roma are not the worst run club in the world. They've won, a decent amount of games in Serie A this season. They've won a decent amount of European titles in the last few years. So I think, seeing him come in wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, and that's definitely one to read into. But that's relatively new news. That only came out this morning, so it'd be interesting to see if that develops further in the next 24, 48 hours. But again, another name. It's like guess who of the Everton takeover here, but another name that's being reported again in the last 24 hours is John Textor, and that's one that doesn't seem to be going away from the last few weeks. Obviously, he's a minority shareholder in Crystal Palace. Maybe he wants to become a majority shareholder at Everton and take over Farhad Moshiri's shares. Obviously, he's got shares in Lyon as well. So that's a name that's still being reported and still being touted around. And I think, there's no smoke without fire in that sense. I think he obviously is showing willingness to come to Everton and take over full responsibility of the club, and showing willingness to Farhad Moshiri that he does want to get a deal done. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on as well. They're two sort of outsider names, I'd say, with Dan Friedkin and John Textor. I think they're definitely two names that will continue to be touted around for the next few weeks or so, but they're ones to definitely keep an eye on. But I think definitely for the next couple of days, I think the one definitely to keep an eye on is AJ Bell and George Downing. That consortium backed by Dell Technologies. I think that is the one definitely to keep an eye on. But for me, I want to sort of give some opinion to this. I've rambled on for far too long now talking about the information. I want to sort of give a little bit of an opinion on it and sort of give my opinion on the news. And my preference personally would be the Bell Downing consortium backed by Dell. I think that would probably be the best option for the club. As I said before, it's two lifelong Blues that would definitely have the best interest of the club at heart. I know I did a tweet yesterday saying that, is it, are we seeing the same situation that we saw with Bill Kenwright in all these years, where it does make it a little bit more difficult to let go. But that being said, they're smart, savvy businessmen. They know exactly what they're doing. And I think backed by Dell Technologies with this 120 billion pounds reported net worth, I think that's definitely something for Evertonians to get excited with. It would seem. But yeah, that's for me. That's my preference. I think I'd like to see two lifelong Blues take over the club. They would definitely have the best interest of the club at heart. So I think, until they're fully sat in the chair and they're fully sat in the chairman's chair, I don't think you can fully judge what they would exactly do. But I think, they know the club, they know the fan base, they know basically what the fan base would want. They know that we've suffered so much turmoil for the last few years. So just to get us on the straight and narrow into Bramley Moore, I think it would give us, a real big boost as a fan base. And just to see two Evertonians take the club back to where we want to be, back to where we belong, in my opinion, I think that would be the best case scenario, and that would be the best outcome for me. But that is all for the basic information that we've had in the last 24, 48 hours on the takeover news. Let me know your thoughts on your preference. Do you have a certain preference on who you'd like to see take over Everton from Farhad Moshiri? Obviously, I said it would be the Bell Downing consortium. But, do you think that John Textor, do you think you'd like to see MSP Sports Capital take over? It's all about opinions, this game. And hopefully we can, move forwards with a new owner into the new season, and go into the new season, our final season at Goodison, with a bit of a spring in our step and a bit of wind in our sails, and maybe look to push ourselves up the table. But that is all from me today on the Toffee Blues. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll speak to you soon.